Hey y'all! So I decided to try something new, something I've been thinking about, and that is to launch it's going to be a YouTube channel and right now a Facebook group called Book Geeks and Wine Freaks. And so the goal of that to be for me to come on and talk about two of my favorite things, books and wine. And so right now, today, we're going to be talking about the first episode of Book Geeks and Wine Freaks. I'm a book geek and a wine freak, bulldog lover too. She's back there somewhere on the floor. I mean, I'll lift this up and you can see Alberta's butt. Okay, this is terrible. There she is, sleeping. Anyway, all right. So today, I want to talk about one of my favorite books. I think it's a fantastic summer read. I Googled what would be like classic summer reads and came up with your traditional Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice, which we'll talk about some other time. And then, of course, Dickens popped up on the list, too. And I'm a huge Dickens fan. Don't know if y'all know that about me, but I do love Charles Dickens alongside Dracula. Everyone knows that's my favorite novel. But anyway, and the book that was recommended was Great Expectations, which is an excellent novel. Of course, all Dickens novels are just about fantastic. So, but I really wanted to talk about my favorite Dickens novel because I think it's much more, it's much better than Great Expectations in my mind. I don't know, maybe it's something I relate to it in some way or another because it's a little dark and gothic, more dark and gothic than Great Expectations is even. And that's Our Mutual Friend. I love this book. It's 800 pages. You can tell how much I've loved this book. I mean, it's like marked up all over the place from the many times that I've written papers on it or used it for a part of a paper. And this book is, oh my gosh, full of love, adventure, mystery, murder. It goes from the dark underbelly of the working class to the bright, flippant podsnappery of the upper class. And that's a great term. You'll find podsnapperies in this book. So it's actually Dickens' last completed novel. It was written between 1864 and 1865 and was released in serial format until 1865 when it was completed, and then it was turned into a full book and published in book form. One of my favorite characters is Mr. Eugene Rayburn. Eugene Rayburn. He is just dreamy in all the ways of Dickens could make a character dreamy, and I really think that Eugene has some characteristics like Dickens. And that, you find Eugene taking really long nightly walks, which Dickens was known to do, taking long nightly walks. So and there's mistaken identity going on in here. There's, basically it's money. And what Bella Wilfer says, one of the characters, money, and what money can make of life. And so in short, I mean, it's of course a social satire, which is what Dickens mostly wrote about. And it's really, the characters, there's a lot of characters in this novel, and they're really stereotypical of people in the classes that in Dickens's time. So you'll have your typical seamstress, and she's very stereotypical. But then she's also unique because Jenny Brent is also a cripple, and cripple is what the term that they use in the book. So there's corpses being fished out of the river, and there's jealousy, violent jealousy from the schoolmaster towards Mr. Eugene Rayburn because of Lizzie Hexam, who's just a working class girl that Mr. Eugene Rayburn falls in love with. And of course, he's above her in class. He's of the upper gentry class, and that's a no-no in Victorian times is, love between the classes. That wasn't supposed to happen. So, really a great book. What's his name? The Bone Keeper. I can't remember his name right now. He's another one of my favorite characters. He's just incredible, a collector of bones. I mean, that's something I never even didn't think there was, but evidently in Victorian times, people collected bones. So let's talk a little bit about the wine. Um, uh, Dickens himself actually drank in moderation, and when he did drink, he preferred more of the sweeter. I do have notes, by the way. He preferred more of the sweeter variety of things, and such as your like the punches that they make. For example, like Scrooge mentions one at the end of A Christmas Carol called "The Smoking Bishop," which was made out of port, and port was a very common wine in the Victorian times, and so I have a really good. There's also other drinks that, you know, named after clergy, and there was like this smoking pope that was made with Burgundy, and a smoking cardinal that was made with champagne or Rhine wine. So, and of course, wine was a very on the Victorian table was a big deal, and there was rules about what wine you served, just like, you know, so like today. But Victorian feasts were just incredible. You could never eat all of it. It was just, they would lay out a spread, especially the upper middle class, just like, oh my gosh, what a smorgasbord of stuff. And where is my page? I want to tell you, 212 is where I need to go. Real quick, 212, here we go. All right, so this is a book that I also recommend if you're interested in Victorian times, is what Jane Austen ate and Charles Dickens knew, from box hunting to whist, the facts of daily life in 19th century England, by Daniel Poole. Anyway, so Daniel Poole writes, by the mid-century, we're talking 1850s here, there was a whole variety of wines that were supposed to be set out for a proper dinner party. Sherry with soup and fish, hock and claret with roast meat, punch with turtle, champagne with whitebait, I guess maybe fish, port with venison, port or burgundy with game, sparkling wines between the roast and the confectionery, Madeira with sweets, port and cheese for dessert, and port, Tokay, Madeira, sherry, or claret was with the dessert. So anyway, a lot of food and a lot of wine. That's kind of like an English table spread for a dinner party. A lot of food. Well, and since port it was really popular, I'll tell you a little bit about port. Another book that I recommend if you're into wine is Wine Folly. It's basically your dictionary for wine. Let's get to port. Comes in a variety of colors. I always thought that port was just like a really dark red, but no, it comes in a variety of colors. It goes from white, rose, ruby, tawny, and to, like, you know, like they call it Colita port, which is kind of like we started leaning into the orange and the red colors, and then a really vintage port with the dark reds. So with the port, you're most likely going to have notes of black plum, dried cherry, chocolate, raisins, and cinnamon. Goes well with cheese, as Daniel Poole says. And you're probably going to want to spend at least, if you do decide you want to try a port wine, you're going to want to spend at least about $35 to get a good one. Just saying. So what other fun facts should we talk about Dickens? Right. Well, okay. Like I said, Dickens didn't drink very much, but when he did, he preferred sweeter things like mulled wines and things like that. And one of them was the Smoking Bishop, made with port, and oranges. So, but for summer, my summer pairing recommendation, if you're going to read Dickens, which again is a really nice long read, 800 pages. It's going to take you a while to get through it, but it's a really fun journey. You're going to love the characters. And since it's a long book, I'm going to recommend a mixed set, a box set with more than one bottle of wine in it. And I right now really like this Mixed Track Volume 2 set. I love rosé wines, and so if you're a rosé wine lover, this set's for you. Inside the set comes, I'll open this box up real quick. Comes 3 bottles of wine. got them up here. 3 bottles of beautiful rosé wine, one from Chile and the other 2 are from France. In addition to that, we have inside the box, we have a, soundtrack. So we're actually listening to the soundtrack right now. If you can hear that in the background. Here I am. Anyway, soundtrack that you download Spotify soundtrack with a QR code, and then you get a tasting card with the mix track, and it tells you about the wines. Now, this wine, our 2020 mix track rosé from No Sex for Butterfly. Isn't that a cute name? No Sex for Butterfly comes from France. It's 90% Syrah and 10% Grenache. Y'all don't need to be a wine expert to be a wine consultant with my company. They do it for you. Here's the info. Anyway, it's racy and elegant with strawberry, watermelon, basil, blood orange, zest, and a hint of salinity on the finish. For the journey, this rosé grapes were harvested from wines planted 25 years ago in France. After harvest, grapes were pressed, and then the juices were fermented in cement fjords for 8 days on organic, non-GMO selected yeast. Then it aged in cement fords until bottling, unfined and unfiltered. Now, did you know? See, they also like to give you these fun facts. Did you know this zesty, elegant rosé comes from the AOP a place in France that I can't pronounce. And AOP means Appellation d'Orange Origine Protégée, whatever, which is French version of an American viticulture area. This village is in the southernmost appellation in the Rhone region of France. This area was known by the ancient Greeks for producing high-quality wines and are some of the oldest known wines in the world. That's interesting. Okay, the next one is from Chile. That's the 2020 mixed track rosé from Etnico Winery. It's 47% Carignan and 41% Pinot Noir, 8% Tempranillo, and 4% Alicante Bouche. It's fruity and crisp with cherry, orange, melon, and a hint of white peach sorbet with a round, soft finish. And then the 2020, another one from Provence, France, is our Original, and it's got the stylish, fresh, sweet watermelon with strawberries, tangerine, and a hint of wildflowers and a light, bright finish. Boy, I'm gonna have a hard time picking which one we're gonna have for dinner tonight. Making that shrimp dish, I don't know if y'all, some of y'all may have seen recently, where it's just really yummy, zesty shrimp dish. So maybe I will probably do the one from Provence, France, because that one seems like it would be tasty with that, because it has with a hint of orange in it. So anyway, that's what I would suggest. If you're gonna read, please read a nice summer read. Our Mutual Friend from Dickens, my favorite Dickens novels. He writes a lot of really good novels. This one is definitely my favorite one because of the characters. There's a number of characters which is so super cool. And then pair it with 3 bottles of delicious rosé. Sit on your back porch, or under a nice shade tree, or on the beach, on the boat. Enjoy your summer. So that concludes my idea for having a little conversation about Dickens and wine, book geeks and wine freaks.